Man, it's getting harder and harder to cover up my fat stomach and find the angle where the camera works. I might have to start you know, wearing a nice dress shirt and a beautiful tie. I don't know if I've ever worn a tie in my life, now that I remember. But yeah, it's been kind of a difficult few days for me emotionally. I missed my fishing trip. I got sick the night before and filled up the wastebasket over there, which I took the garbage out. So yeah, you get the picture. I had one of them nights where sometimes my medication doesn't mix with my food, so I'll sit there and I'll fight it. And it's like a weird coughing fit. It wasn't like the steroids thing, which what a waste that was. It's like my ankle was swelling went down on it. Now it's back up, so that wasn't worth it at all. That totally messed with my digestion and gave me one of the worst nights of my life. And yeah, I've had a lot. That's just a new thing. I don't know if it's the medications or what, but yeah, I just kind of have to go hungry at night. Make sure that don't happen, or I'll be getting sick or fighting it for like that was bad. I was fighting getting sick for like 3 hours, and then you end up getting sick anyway. It's like sometimes you feel better after you push the eject button on the old stomach, and then I felt better, and then I was able to go to sleep. It's like, why didn't I do this like 3 hours ago? It must be stupid. Yeah. Anyway, Cindy just told me she was sick, so if you're a praying type person, send her a prayer, yeah, or send her some good vibes. If you're not, have spare a thought for. Um, she's already got issues, and then when you're sick on top of it, it's bad. And I just got issues, so yeah, it's been depressing as far as I haven't been able to get that stupid blue scooter out because just haven't the timing hasn't been right for somebody to be here. So I might have to take it out on my own. I'm thinking about calling my friend and storing it on the porch instead of in the house. Because if I store it in the house, I have to prop open my door, and I have to reach behind me on the scooter, close my own door. I don't necessarily have to lock it, but I at least have to close it, and or stop the scooter, close the door, get back on the scooter, which is can't walk, so not necessarily fun for me. But anyways, I got to go through two doors. The front door's really heavy and swings closed, so I got to like stick a bucket in between it and the ramp for the wheelchair guy just to get it out, and then I have to go down a wheelchair ramp, turn a complete right angle down the wheel. It's too much. Even before I get it out on the road, it's a pain in the ass. So I thought maybe I could store it on my porch because the battery has to be charged periodically. So I don't know. I haven't made up my mind. I'm not sure that storing it at my brother's house is the best idea. I might as well learn. I live here, you know. I might as well learn to ride it around here. I mean, ideally, yeah, you know, take it to a neighborhood where you have some open spaces where you're not on a skinny ass road where everybody parks on the side of the road. And it's one of them deals where you got two cars coming and one car has to pull over so the other car can get by. We're talking cars, we're not even talking trucks. So it's just a messed up, skinny ass road like this place has no driveways at all. It's got four apartment, has 4 units in it and zero driveways. That doesn't work out too well. And a lot of these people on the street have the same situation, or they have like a driveway where they put one of their vehicles, or their second vehicle is parked in the road, or they just, don't like pulling out of driveways on skinny ass roads where you might get clipped. So they just park on the side of the road for convenience sakes. But anyway, you get the point. It's kind of a minefield out there if you have a runaway scooter. Which, like I said, I don't know if it's like a defect in that individual scooter or if they're all like that. But you barely bump the throttle and it will throw you forward. You know, you can feel yourself going back in the seat, and then if you brake, you will get thrown forward. And that's like, it seems to me like, imagine a dial. Okay, I'm turning the dial that much. Like, if there was 100 gradations on it, I'm turning it to 2 or 3. Just bumping it off of complete idle. And it just goes nuts. It seems to me like before you hit that kind of speed, you should at least go up to a quarter. But no, that's why it's dangerous. It's like, and plus I've never ridden a trike before. So the steering on a trike is different because it has extreme cornering, which is a good thing if you have to go down a ramp or you have to go in a hallway. I can literally do donuts with it in the hallway. It's like it corners ridiculous. But that's a bad thing. If you're hitting the throttle, you have to make sure you have the handlebars straight, completely straight. Or even if you move your handlebars just a little bit, it's going to take off sideways. And if you accelerate at a high rate of speed and you take off sideways and hit a parked car, you might fly over the parked car and get a deep thigh bruise that covered your whole left thigh, which later on you would use to intimidate the drunken asshole that lives upstairs by punching yourself in your deep thigh bruise while you have a hold of the guy's arm and look at him all crazy and say, I don't give a fuck about pain. I don't. Was part of that whole story was he's used to crazy people, having grown up around him, and that's why he's crazy himself. So he was like, man, if you want to hurt yourself, go ahead, man. And I'm like, I'm not just gonna hurt. It was a whole big thing where I had to intimidate that insane guy and let him know basically that if you fuck with me, I will try to hurt you. You will have to hurt me. Or the same old deal. You always have to bring it down to that animal street level. Like, you're going to have to kill me, basically. It's like you have to bottom line that for people. Some people, you just have to. It's like a law of the jungle type of thing. It's like, okay, if we do have to tangle, it's not going to be like, put up your dukes. It's going to be like, just a nasty, yeah, rip your throat out type of thing. I will bite you. I will kick you. I will try to knee you in the nuts. Whatever. It will be nasty, ugly, dirty, foul, horrible affair if we have to fight. So let's not do that. And you can bottom line that for people, just in your eyes if you know how. But like I was telling Skylar on the phone, it's like I grew up around violent people, so I understand violence at a deep level. And I was in a lot of fights before illness hit me, and you can tell this motherfucker's crazy. This motherfucker's a big blowhard and a bluff. This guy don't want to fight at all. And then occasionally you'll get mixed signals and you won't. But if you have enough experience, you can sort them out. There's crazy, don't fuck with that person at all. And then there's this person can probably take care of himself pretty good. And there's this person's just all talk and probably would just throws overhand rights. So all I gotta do is this. It's not gonna be a hard fight. It's basically, block the punch. Or he'll rush up on you and try to tackle you like a moron, and you just sidestep him or trip him or some bullshit. So you learn all that stuff. But with that guy, it's like I had to like go to a really crazy place, and I actually punched myself in my own deep thigh bruise while I had a hold of his arm and was twisting his arm like this to where it actually injured his shoulder. And I punched my deep thigh bruise that I got from my scooter and said, "You think I give a fuck about pain? I don't give a fuck about pain." Anyways, that's all old news. But yeah, it's and just been depressed and thinking gloomy, bad thoughts. And I exercised yesterday, and I'm rewarded for it with a sore knee today. And this is we got this weird weather thing going on where it's been crazy hot for like 5 days. It was going to be really hot when I went fishing, when I was supposed to go fishing, and like 85. We've had all 80s, and it's going to be 88 today. So I have to make up my mind whether I want to put my air conditioner in my window when we got lows in the 40s coming up. It's you get some crazy weather nowadays. It didn't used to be like that. We used to have a winter, a spring, a summer, and a fall. We get like we'll have one patch of consistent hot weather, and sometime around June, July, or August, and then the rest of the year it's a crapshoot. You could have summer and on Christmas. You can have 68, 70 degrees on Christmas. It's not an unusual thing anymore. I remember being freaked out by that it was raining in 68 degrees. And I remember, I can don't remember the year, but I can remember being a little kid and we would park in the parking lot to St. Joan of Arc school, where I went to school, and then walk to the church, which the church is like right beside the school. I went to Catholic school. Uh, but yeah, now I didn't get to go fishing, but I got the camera off my brother. So I got my GoPro style camera. I opened it up and I read the directions to it, and it's called I already forgot the name of it, but I said it was a Vlasic pickle. It's not. It's like it begins with a A, not a V. I don't know why I thought it began with a V. But anyways, you have to have an SD card for it, which I bought, but which my brother didn't bring me. So I have to buy another one before. That's why I'd be using it right now. That's why I read it, and it was like first step, peel off stickers. Second step, plug in and fully charge the battery. Third step, format your SD card. Not provided. And I was like, oh, my brother didn't bring the SD card. So I just bought another one. Who knows when or if I'll see him again. I don't know. But yeah, it was kind of it was kind of funny. I asked him to borrow a scale because I was like, man, I weigh over 200 pounds now, and I was wondering if I could borrow a scale. And he's like, what, to keep? And I'm like, no. I said borrow. I was like, I'd like to borrow it temporarily because I'm gonna try to start watching my weight. And I figure you're not watching your weight now. And he goes, well, actually, I am. And then I said something about because I had a bathroom scale that was digital that I just gave to him. So I'm like, why do I have a scale? I think the first time my weight bumped up a little bit, I got a scale because I was just curious. I'm like, what's going on here? First time I went over 170 pounds since I weigh 204 now. I bought a scale, and then I would be weighing myself, and I'd be like 173, 175, 174, and after a while, you're like, well, my weight seems to be pretty steady, and so I just gave it to him, and so I was thinking, I could borrow it off of him, but he's like, oh, I broke that a long time ago, and I'm like, did you just throw it out? And he goes, yeah, I'm not keeping no broken scale around my place, it's a crazy thought. I was like, well, maybe it's not broken, or maybe I was like, did you check the batteries to see if it was a battery thing? And I didn't really get a straight answer on that. He might have been insulted, like if you call the cable company and they're like, is your TV plugged in? He might have just considered it a stupid question. I don't know. But yeah, a lot of brooding, a lot of laying around, no ambition, no real change in habits. Like I get up in the morning and watch baseball. I'm on the sixth inning right now, and I hadn't gotten back to what few comments I got. And then Cindy wrote me and said she was sick, so I thought I'd get on here because man, being being that kind of sick sucks and it's scary. So, yeah, when I had pneumonia, which basically I used to get bronchitis a lot, and I let it turn into pneumonia because I was off walking around doing all kind of crazy shit. I was on walkabout with bronchitis, not smart, and so I ended up in a doctor's hospital. And that's the first time I had a migraine headache because they gave me some kind of medication that gave me a migraine headache, and I've never, you know, I I've been starting to get headaches now that I'm older, post benzo. Sometimes I wake up with a headache and stuff, but I used to never get headaches, you know. I had my brother has migraine headaches sometimes, and then I think I had sisters that complained about migraine headaches, so I didn't know what one was. And I was like, well, this is really a horrible thing because they're light and sound sensitive. They're like really bad. So yeah, I had 3 days in the hospital with pneumonia, and that kind of mellowed me out a little bit. I don't remember if I was still crazy when I came out of the hospital with pneumonia, but I remember I was 3 days in the hospital. And I do remember getting ready to go to the doctors when I had pneumonia, because I think I went right from the doctor's office to the hospital, because they were like, I remember he said to my mom, you have a very sick boy here. And I think I was like somewhere between 15 and 18 years old, and I was still going to a pediatrician. Um, yeah. The weird part is like my pediatrician was my last doctor until I was 36. Because he's the guy that sent me to the arm and shoulder orthopedist when I had something wrong with my foot. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to this moron anymore. That was like the final straw. I was still going to him when I was old. By old, I mean over 18. I was going to a pediatrician, but it makes as much sense as anything else in my life. So, whatever. Um, but anyways, yeah, when I had pneumonia, I don't remember, like I said, if I was still crazy when I was out of the hospital. I was stone fucking crazy. And that's how I ended up with pneumonia. It's like, oh, bronchitis, who gives a fuck? Just went, just went about my business. I think my older brother did the same thing, but he was like a doctorophobe. Like one of those people that, they have to have arterial spurts before they go to the emergency room. I went fishing with my older brother, and he cut his hand so fucking bad it about made me sick. And he just literally, like he was Rambo or something like that, took out a knife, cut off a piece of his coat, and wrapped up where he had cut himself. And he cut himself like all the way in this part of your hand before you get to the bone. He like slipped, cutting open a can of corn to fish for carp with a pocket knife because he forgot his can opener. They have those little army issued can openers. I don't know if you're talking about. They're called like a P something or another. But they're really cool. You can put them on a keychain or whatever. But basically, they just fold open and they got your little hook there, and you can. It takes a while, but you can. Your little hand can openers, they're real small. He forgot his and used his pocket knife, and then slipped with his pocket knife and cut like all the way down in his webbing of his hand. There was blood going everywhere, and so all he does is like rig up a bandage. I'm like, aren't we going home? Don't you need to go to the hospital? And he's like, no, we come here to fish. We're going to fish. So he didn't cotton to doctors too much. So yeah, he ended up with a rare form of pneumonia just by refusing to get it taken care of. And he had this is probably not good talk for Cindy, but he had like tubes driven in between his ribs, and he has. When I visited him in when I went down to Georgia, when the devil went down to Georgia in 1990, he had 3 penny-sized scars on his ribs from that incident, which I had never seen before, but I saw him when was down there, where they actually put tubes through his ribs into his lung and drained his lung. And yeah, I remember him saying it was one of the most painful things ever, but this is not good bedside manner talk at all. I had pneumonia and it wasn't. Like I said, the medication gave me a bad migraine headache, or at least it was the only migraine headache I ever had. So, maybe it was a good migraine headache. I don't know. I had no experience with them, but I didn't like them. And yeah, I remember it was cool because my neighbor across the street worked in the cafeteria at Doctor's Hospital, so I got like the best meals ever. I was like, man, I don't eat this good at home, not even by half. And she'd send up a little note and a card. Her name was Mrs. Aldermore. And yeah, she sent me up a little note and a card with my dinner tray. This was sometime in the mid 80s. I think 85. I don't remember. But anyways, yeah, so aid workers coming here probably 12:30 or 1:30. I don't know. I'm really undecided about what I want her to do. I don't. It's going to be sooner or later that air conditioner is going to have to go in the window, but I don't really see the sense in it if we're talking about lows in the 50s and the 40s. I mean, I could put it in the window and like tape it up. I don't have enough duct tape and seal it up so 40 degrees outside wouldn't come in here, but I don't know. I got time to make up my mind about it. I have to do some stupid thing where she has a bad back. I have trouble like with the whole falling over thing, but I can lift the air conditioner. So I'm thinking of flipping a bucket upside down, lifting the air conditioner up onto the bucket, and then lifting it from the bucket to the window. And that way there's less chance of me falling over. And maybe waiting till she gets here to do it in case I do fall over and I need medical attention. But it's going in the damn window. I just don't know if I want to do that today or not. And because there's cold weather coming, it doesn't make any sense, and it's going to hang around for a couple of weeks. But sooner or later, I'm going to, need air conditioner in the window. And it was really humid yesterday. The humidity was really bothering me. I even waited until it got dark and cooled off a bit, and opened the window, and had the air conditioner on the floor on fan. And when I lifted weights, and then I rested, and then walked with the walker around the house for a while, and I rarely ever do this. I opened the window and left the window open all night in the living room and put a fan in there to get the cold air from the night. And then when I woke up at 8 o'clock, which is a little later than I wanted to wake up, you close the cold air in your house, and then it's cool for a while. It usually, if I do that, it's cool, and it's not necessarily cool, but it's tolerable in here, even on high 80s, low 90s type of days, until about 3 in the afternoon, and then the heat kicks in. But even though I'm near the Canadian border, sometimes, say around 9 o'clock in the morning, it'll already be in the 80s. So yeah, it was 8 o'clock, it was already up around 80 degrees. So it's definitely, and I can feel it right now, it's definitely going to be a hot day. Yeah, yeah. That is why I don't do many videos anymore, is because that is the kind of scintillating entertainment that's going to come from me. Talk about the weather and how to lift the air conditioner without falling over. You have to be very creative in these things. So I was thinking, like, do I have something where I can do a double lift instead of lifting it straight off the floor and putting this heavy ass thing into the window? I can maybe lift it on top of a bucket and then take it off of the bucket and then lift it into the window. I was like, yeah, that seems to make more sense, since I have ostrich legs now that are bent backwards. I tend to fall over backwards, and falling over backwards and having an air conditioner hit you in the stomach just doesn't sound like a good day. Definitely not a good way to start your day. But yeah, I think that pretty much finished your day too. Yeah. I was trying to think of what that would be like. falling over, holding an air conditioner and falling over on your back and then having the air conditioner land on top of you. How bad would that be? I don't know, but I don't want to find out. So I'm not going to do that. As far as the scooter thing, I'm just thinking like it's just me here, so I'll have to figure it out myself and just like try to be careful. Like work my schedule around to where I'm out where there's no traffic on the road and like try to be careful and figure something out with it. Because if I do ride that fast thing, it's got to be in this neighborhood anyway. It's kind of silly to get over to my brother's house. I either got to bother people for rides or take the SARTA bus. You can't call like Scenic View Transportation for social visits. That's only for doctors. So SARTA is a pain in the ass, but that's what I would have to do. It's like it doesn't really seem to make a whole lot of sense. Just because I severely injured myself. And a deep thigh bruise is no joke. I mean, that will sideline an NFL player for like a few games. Deep thigh bruise is a serious thing. As far as you do not want to get hit on it. Didn't really want to punch myself in the leg, but it made my point. But yeah, deep thigh, it's different than just a surface bruise. It took a long time to heal, man. I had every color in the rainbow. It was on my leg, man. If you ever had like a gigantic bruise, and I wasn't taking blood thinners then either, so it was an honest bruise. It was not steroid enhanced bruising. It was an honest bruise with somebody that wasn't on blood thinners. Because when you're on blood thinners, man, you can get bruised real easy. Yeah. I still wasn't walking good in those days, but that was before the last time I had my heart shocked, and then after I had my heart shocked in 2019 of September. Well, you get the picture. No reason to correct myself, say September of 2019. I've just done that. Anyways, since then I've been on blood thinners. So, because yeah, I'd rather not be in the hospital for 5 days having an endocardiogram or whatever that is, where they basically do the face hugger alien thing and stick something down your throat all the way down your esophagus so they can photograph your heart from the back. Totally unnecessary, but they like to make their money. So, yeah, I had another treatment in there, totally unnecessary, where they used like medication to try to get my heart back in rhythm, but it was a dangerous medication. So they had me pre-shock paddled, right? They had like the shock paddles were on me, ready to go, while I was on this medication that was supposed to knock my heart back into rhythm. And yeah, that stuff kind of made me sick. And it did make me sleepy though, but I was sleepy and I was awake and sick, and I'm like, oh, I'd rather be asleep, so I would try to go back to sleep. I'm not sure how long that went on, but it didn't work. It's like, just get to the shocking. It's worked every time in the past. It's like, just don't fuck around sticking things down my throat, and don't like give me drugs where you might have to shock me anyway. You know, and that's kind of like alarming, because it's like, okay, this medication, some people apparently have a bad. How many people have you killed with this medication? So, yeah. Yeah, I was very disappointed about not getting out and going fishing, and then when I opened up the camera, so I got the camera on Saturday, today's a Tuesday, I opened up the camera on Sunday and messed with it, and I was like, oh, there's no card here, so Sunday night I bought a card. Apparently, I don't, it just said, like, the third thing is like you have to program an SD card for it. And it's like, I don't know if you can hook it up directly to, I didn't explore it that much. I was like, let's wait and get the SD card. I don't know if you can hook it up directly to the computer and, use it. Or you have, the SD card is for the portability factor. I don't know anything about these things. I know it's about that big. It's not small. It's like about that big. And I don't know how big the GoPros are, but I think they're slimmer. I know you're not going to get a GoPro for $32 new, so it seemed like a good deal to me. I think I paid $32 for the card and the camera, but I'm not sure. The number 32 is stuck in my head, so it might be just for the camera, and then I had to pay $9 for the card. Anyways, that's why I haven't got that going. As far as the volume thing, this is what I'm doing now. I'm chopping up crumbs. I don't know if you can see that. Which they're different size crumbs, but I'm taking those 10 milligram pills. I'm trying to cut them up into quarters, but that is a not very precise process. Trying to get to the point where I drop my dose from 5 milligrams a day to 2.5 milligrams a day, which would be my lowest dose ever. And like take it in the middle of the day. I haven't taken any Valium yet, but it's not even noon yet, so uh, that's the plan there. It's good to set like a goal for yourself, even if the goal is just like, okay, I'm going to work on losing some weight, or like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I got my guitar set up. Like I said, I haven't touched it. I haven't felt like playing. I got sick on Friday. I didn't get to go fishing. Sunday, I talked to my cousin. Man, I wish I had my old brain back. Anyways, got sick on Friday. Didn't get to go fishing on Saturday. I had 130 pulse just boxing up groceries for my brother for the trip back. I had fully intended to go, even though I was up till 2 or 3 in the morning and puking in a wastebasket at 2 or 3 in the morning. Uh, I had fully intended to go anyway, but I checked my pulse after I was boxing up groceries for my brother, and it was 134. And I was like, you. I didn't. I felt bad anyway. I wasn't too enthused about going, but I was like, nah. I hadn't taken any blood pressure pills. If I felt a little better, I would have probably ignored the fact that I had 130 plus pulse just boxing up groceries for my brother. Um, but I didn't feel very good because I didn't get a good night's sleep, and that always messes me up, tears up my throat and stuff whenever that happens. I think basically it's my body rejecting the medications I'm on, because if I take them too if I eat too close to when I have to go to sleep and then take medications, uh, my like I said, my stomach wants to hit the eject button. I don't understand it. I have like a sour stomach a lot nowadays too. So, I don't know. Could be stress. You know, could be this, could be that. You don't want to play that game. You just want to roll with how you feel. You're like, well, yeah, this is not good. Yeah, I definitely seem to have like an acid stomach, so I will try to adjust to that situation and not imagine ulcers, stress related things or whatever, or late onset acid reflux or whatever nonsense. There's like, you don't want to think about that stuff. There's like a million things that can go wrong with the human body. So you really can't dwell on that. You have to just like deal with the situation as you find it. Can't worry about like, why am I like this? Why is this happening? You just have to pay attention. And or you'd be going to the doctor like all the time. Be like Norm Macdonald. He's always going to doctors, he says, to get checkups because he's got the hypochondria thing. You always think about all the many things that can go wrong with your body. Now, my situation, of course, is totally different than most people's because I got a lot of symptoms I've had to ignore for a lot of years, so I'm used to ignoring things that would probably freak most people out. I'll spare you I had a story that was in my head. I know my audience is not that squeamish, but just in case, I'll spare you that one. I think I already told that one anyway at some point. Most of my stories I've already told. So that's why I gotta make new stories. Gotta try to do something different, like use a GoPro camera. I don't think I can put it on my cat, however, because yeah, I don't think he would like that very much. It's kind of big. It would be funny to have like what they used to call that, cat vision, or a cat point of view. That would be kind of funny, but uh, yeah, I don't think it would work. If you want to get like the micro cameras, they even have like cameras where you can wear a pair of glasses and the camera sits like between your eyes. The spy stuff. You gotta pay a little bit more than $32 for that shit. Um, yeah, but anyways, uh, I was just trying. I figure like I told all my stories. I'm not making any new stories. And I can't talk about the daily grind of dealing with illness and disability and all that, or like uh, slide into my gloomy thoughts about this, that, and the other. And like I was just thinking, like, why is my brother? Why would he send me the camera back and not the other thing? Doesn't he know that the other thing goes with the camera? Where is the other thing? Do I even want to ask him about it? I'm like, no. He never opened the box. He had that thing for like 3 or 4 weeks. He went on 5 or 6 fishing trips where he could have tried it out, and that I'll just for the hell of it, I'll put a link in the description of a cool fishing video. You can make these videos, and you just you put it on your hat or you clip it to your shirt pocket, and all you see is arms, and the guy fishing. So it would be like watching my brother fish. And if you're a fisherman, you really have like supposedly you're supposed to have like this back and forth thing, like I'm a better fisherman than you, and yeah, I caught more fish than you, and you're supposed to have banner and all that stereotypical stuff. But really, all you care about if you're a fisherman is like, how are the people in my group doing? If somebody in your group catches a fish, it's like a team sport. You're like, yeah, he scored a touchdown, and you celebrate with them, and you're like, man, that's great. Somebody else outside your group catches a fish, fuck them. You get mad. But if somebody that's with you is like crushing it, you're happy for him. So, watching him catch fish would be cool, but he didn't want to put out the effort to learn how to do something new. Like I said, he's in a codependent relationship with his cable company. I think he would have told me if he finally switched cable companies, but he's had it was Time Warner Cable, and they switched their name to Spectrum, but he's had them for years, and he complains to me periodically how they just his internet will go out in the middle of certain important activities, and how he'll miss phone calls because the phone goes out. It's like shitty service, but he won't change. So, it was just a whim. It was just a fun thought I had. And you never know about people. They can surprise you. It can happen. So I thought maybe he would play along. Now, my cousin in Florida, he was like, why didn't you ask your best friend to do that? He'd probably do that. And I'm like, I don't like to ask him for nothing. I'm like, I don't know why, but I feel like I don't like to ask him for anything unless it's really like, can you help me keep the hornets from stinging me that are in my ceiling? Can you help me to move my fishing boat because my asshole foster brother is putting it in jeopardy of being owned by somebody else because it's sitting on their property, and the new people are moving in there, and whatever is on their property they get to keep. He's storing stuff on somebody else's property, and it's uh I don't yeah, it wasn't his name. I'm not sure if they would get to keep it, but they would not be happy about it. So yeah, my brain's not working too well, so I don't remember if it was I was actually in danger of losing my boat. But my foster brother told me about this, oh, the day before the people had to move in. So I called my friend up, and he was Johnny on the spot, and him and my foster brother. moved the boat here, which I eventually gave to the drunk, crazy guy to spite my foster brother. So I'm like, I'm never going out on that boat. My buddy, or if I do go out on a boat, my buddy already has a boat. So, you know, so I like just gave it away. I just wanted to get rid of it. I thought I was moving out of here. It's the same reason I lost my front teeth. It's like I gotta get the fuck out of here, man. I can't live here anymore. That was 2019, which was the year that I was like wanting to move in with my brother. I was just like, I can't live here anymore. 2018 was the really crazy year with the meth people. And then I went from the meth people to squatters, from the squatters to Stampy, and then I got the double whammy of Stampy and the Pocket Maniac living above me. And then also, at that point, the guy in the wheelchair got in my business, and that's how I got my broken toes, which, you know, I have a video on here, Tocado del Fugue, of my hideously broken toes, which they somehow, I don't even know how that could happen. Couldn't happen to anybody but me, but they, my neighbor and my landlord conspired to break my toes. Stupid. You know the story, probably, in case you don't. Yeah, I told my neighbor that water was coming through my ceiling, and it wasn't a big deal because it wasn't that much water. And I made a joke about Stampy coming through the ceiling. His high, he takes all kind of drugs, and he smokes like really good weed. So in his high mind, he actually thought it was possible that Michelle could fall through my ceiling, because I was like, let her fall through the ceiling. I texted him, I don't care, let her fall through the ceiling. What do I care? And so he goes behind my back, tells the landlord about it. I got to clean out my whole bedroom, which tires my legs out. And then it's really cold outside, so I have to put a heater in my living room. And I'm doing that, preparing for this. Like, it happened really fast to where he went behind the back to the landlord. The landlord got the plumber in here. It all happened so fast. I did a whole bunch of work, wore my legs out. I moved the heater out there, and then when I was getting up out of the chair, my foot slipped and I hit the heater that looks like a radiator, and broke two toes. One toe was like way over here, pointing in the wrong direction. Yeah, it was pointing toward 3 o'clock, and the rest of the toes were at high noon. So I just ignored it because the plumbers and shit were coming. So the whole time the plumbers were here, I'm walking on broken toes. And then later on, I had checked it out because I'm used to a lot of foot pain and stuff. And I was like, oh, I just smashed up my toes. I didn't know they had broke my toes. So I was like, man, I got an unusual amount of foot pain going on here. And then I took off my socks, and I was like, okay, that's really not good. And of course, I took a picture of it, put it on the internet, because nothing interesting ever happens worth putting on the internet in my life. If something interesting happens, it's usually something that's not good. So that's how the, that's how that happened. I was like, at that point, the madness in this building had gotten to such a fever pitch that, you know, if I had could go back and change it, you know, I'm still here, but I had like, I've told all this shit before. I don't even know why I'm going into it, but I had $2,500, and I needed $2,000 to cap these two teeth. So I told Skylar on the phone, who's in her 20s, I was like, listen, at some point in your life, you will have to lose some teeth. Make sure it's not your front teeth, because every moment, it changed the whole way I talk, and every moment of every day, I'm reminded of that stupid decision, because the tip of your tongue will hit your teeth in the front, but the side of your tongue, you don't notice it if it's hitting blank spaces on the side of your face, unless you go around poking with your tongue because you're bored. But in the normal course of your normal day, and when I'm speaking, I'm not even thinking about having nothing here, no teeth here at all, because they removed 4 in a row, and my head was in such a fucked up space. I was like, why not make it 5? They were like pulled 4 teeth all in a row right here, and then they pulled one up here. Yeah, that was, that shit all started in 2018. From 2017 of December, when my sister and me parted ways, to in about a 2 year period, man, everything went to total shit. I mean, I already had a leg problem. That was the cause of the rift with my sister, really, was I was getting to be too much of a pain in the ass with my petty problems, like not being able to walk. And then, like, everything came down on me imaginable to the point of even having a hornet infestation in the ceiling. So, what started me off on this beautiful trip down memory lane is uh, I was saying I didn't want to ask my friend for something so trivial as to wear a camera so I could see the places I used to get the fish at with him. And also, I talked to him about it, and he didn't offer. So, he didn't offer to do it. And it's like, he's done me very important favors in the past. He don't owe me a damn thing. Whereas with my brother, I have done my brother very important favors in the past. So it's like I tried to explain to my cousins, like, look, it's sort of like, yeah, it's like with you. It's like I would never ask you to borrow money because you have never asked to borrow money off of me. It's like, so that's never going to happen. It's like, that's why I would never. Because he was like, why don't you just ask your friend to wear the camera? I'm like, yeah, that might make sense, but I don't like to ask people to do things and for favors. And I don't like to ask him for favors because I don't have any friends. And I don't want to, yeah, I don't want to put any strain on the relationship. For instance, on the fishing trip I did not go on, there was a little bit of confusion between me and him because, like, I live here, my brother lives here, the place the fish head is over here. Now, the last time when I dropped off groceries, he was like, well, I got to go past your house anyway. No, actually, I think well, the point is, the place that we fish at is out of the way of the two respective cities that the three people in question live in. So he was like, well, I don't know about picking it up. He was going to do it. He's willing to do it. But he was like, should I pick it up and then take it to his house first before we go fishing? I was like, nah, I was thinking more if there was time on the way home, you could swing by. And he goes, yeah, but we're fishing in Louisville. And I'm like, well, I really don't know how far out of the way that is. And I know that, you had to drive me home anyway. So, but I'm not going this time. So that's why I'm leaving it up to you. So we had to hammer out the details. I'm like, I think we're on the same page now. It's like, don't say nothing to him about me having a box of groceries for him unless you decide that you have enough time or you want to pick it up. That way, it's up to you. So I'm not asking him to do any favors. In other words, I'm giving him the power. If he wants to do it, he can do it. I did want my camera, and that was like the only way I was going to get it. So yeah, as it turned out, he decided he had enough time. They had a good day fishing. My brother caught at least 20 fish. Anytime you don't keep track of how many fish you catch, you caught a lot of fish. And my friend caught a 4.5 pound bass. So it was a good day to fish. It looked really nice out. Nice and overcast, which is good. You want a nice overcast day when you go fishing because you don't get sunburnt for one thing. It's like my brother. It's just so locked into himself and his own concerns. He's like, you think you'll need sunscreen? And I'm like, dude, I'm a mushroom. He was like, what? And I'm like, I'm a mushroom. I was like, yeah, I'm stuck inside. I don't get any sunlight. Sunlight and me don't have any truck with each other. You can grow mushrooms in your basement. Uh, they don't need sunlight. So, it's like, why would you think, I'm a shut in. I'm going to go out in 80 to 85 degree weather. And we thought it was going to be sunny. And why would you even ask, do you think you'll need sunscreen? It's like, man, get out of your own fucking head and look at things from other people's point of view. Why would you, why would, I can't see why that would be interesting to you to, watch me fish at places that you used to fish, which you don't get to fish at anymore. Why would it be interesting for somebody that's a shut in to look at places they used to fish at and relive old pleasant memories? I caught between me and my friend, I caught 100. We caught 150 white bass at the Sandusky River. That's a lot of fish. And I'm not talking about fishing all day either. I'm talking about fishing for 3 or 4 hours, 150 fish estimate. And once you catch that many fish, you don't keep track. Here's how I know really quickly. I ended up with a bucket with 38 fish in it. You're like, well, that's not 150 fish. But we split the fish in half, which means there was 76 fish. Okay, you're like, okay, you're still well short of 150 fish. Well, my friend built a corral in the water made out of stones because we had filled up the bucket. We had filled up this other thing that was like one of them luggage things. I don't even know how to describe it, but it was basically like a zippered pouch that he was sliding fish into. And so we didn't have a stringer, so we filled up the bucket, we filled up the cooler, we filled up this. We were sticking fish inside, basically one of them things that you would roll, like see rolling through an airport that had luggage that he used to carry stuff down to the water. And then we're still catching fish, so he built a corral, and we threw like half of our fish in this corral. And I was like, well, I'm gonna. It was time to go, so he was like, I'm gonna start up the hill because by the time I get up there, he has to do all the heavy lifting because it was at that point even it was a tricky thing for me to walk up that rock strewn hill and to walk down it. I don't know which is scarier, walking down, of course, because you can see what's going to happen to you and you can imagine it. But anyways, he comes up the hill and he's got the sheepish look on his face, and I'm like, "What happened?" And he's like, "Well, uh, there was a little hole in my corral and all the horses got free." And I'm like, "Oh." He made a corral in the water like a fish pen and out of rocks because there's just so many rocks there. But he left like a little open space, and once one fish found that open space, all the other fish. So we're basically just throwing. We think we're throwing fish into a pan for him to pick out of the water later and collect later. But really, we're just catching and releasing them. So we really didn't need to be there that long. But it's fun. They're fun to catch. They range between 12 and 16 inches. So even losing half of our fish, we came home. If I took half of the fish and it was 38 fish, that's 76. So 150 is a conservative estimate. Now, why would I want to, after having a day like that fishing and not being able to go there for 10 or 12 years, why why would my brother ask? I don't see how that would be interesting for you looking at that river. Or like, reliving a fishing somebody else's fishing experience at that river. It's like, and plus it's my brother, so he's on my fishing team. So every time he caught a fish, it would be cool because I would be happy. Whereas if I watch somebody on the internet, I'm like more like fuck you, like them other people are talking about when they're outside, when they're the other team. You're like not happy for them when they catch a fish. That's why I never used to watch fishing videos. I'm only doing it now because jonesing to go fishing. Because there's people that fish, and then there's fishermen where it's just part of your personality and it's essential to your mental health to go fishing. So I'm a fisherman, not a guy who goes fishing. A guy who goes fishing will be like, God damn, it's cold and rainy out here. Let's go home. A fisherman will be like, God damn, it's cold and rainy out here. Let's fish. Give it another hour or so. That's the difference. So, uh, so basically, that's just me rambling on about how I don't understand people. I don't understand people that can't get out of their own heads and think about things from other people's point of view. Um, oh, another thing that's kind of puzzling to me is I got a letter. I just threw it away, as a matter of fact. Is I got a letter from that's saying because I missed my psychology appointment with that guy named Paul, that they're reprimanding me by not allowing me to have any more psychologist appointments. And then the letter says, but if you need them in the future, I'm like, what does this letter even mean? Because if you don't they're like a community outreach place. If you don't give 24 hours notice and you miss an appointment, they'll they give you like one chance, and then if you do that again, then they'll boot you. So you have to be like diligent about keeping your appointments or canceling with a 24-hour notice. So they gave me like a reprimand letter, and they're like, if this happens again, you'll no longer be eligible for to see a psychologist with us because other people have needs too. The letter said. So we have other clients that need our time or something, more professional sounding like that. So I'm like, why am I reading this bullshit? I threw it away. I don't care if I talk to the Paul guy again. And I can't help it. I had to take a shit when it was my appointment time with these phone, appointment things. And I called him back within 5 minutes, and he was off on the phone with somebody else. And I called him back again. He don't have in-call waiting, or he don't have he didn't put me toward a messaging service. It's like the dude's calling probably on an old-fashioned landline phone, and like he's an old guy. And it's like that's not my problem. And then I texted him, and I was texting him as soon as I couldn't get a hold of him, and said like, do you want to reschedule? We can reschedule at any time. Hit me back. Let me know. Never wrote me back. I don't see where that's my problem. So that was weird. Another thing that's weird is I got a letter from. I don't know if they stopped with the emergency SNAP benefits with the EBT card, but I got a letter last month that said that uh, they weren't that I was supposed to get mine on the 15th, and it is what? It's not the 15th. We'll put it that way. It's at least the 24th, 25th, 26th, somewhere in there. And I still haven't got my benefits, which doesn't mean I won't get my benefits for May. The extra, see, $200 odd. So I get $33 is what I'm supposed to get, but because of COVID, they max out SNAP benefits to like a certain ceiling, and that means I'm getting like around $240 in SNAP benefits a month. So I was curious about that. I've been calling every day waiting to see if the figure on it will change from $1,463, but it hasn't, because I had somebody spend um, $360 off of it. It was up around 1,000, and then I spent some myself. So, but I have to get off here. I have to go about my day. I just wanted to, yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge that, or say, include Cindy in this video, because yeah, bronchitis sucks, and then having to, you already got problems on top of it, and then you're sick. That'd be a nice thing to do. And even without my teeth and stuff, I could still manage to talk. And even without a good brain, I can still manage to talk. I have probably an average brain now as far as speaking abilities. Um, I can still write like a mofo. I still come across fairly intelligent in print. It's alarming, I gotta tell you, because I couldn't think of Pat Robertson. And it's like, why in the hell can't I get, I grew up, my mom was into like the tele-evangelist people. She was one of them poor people that got bilked by Jim and Tammy Faye Baker, if you remember those names. And I think she had pictures, because you'd give them money and they would send you these pictures. But I think she had pictures of like Jesus pictures that are probably still hanging on the walls in my folks' house, which is now my brother's house. It's probably the same pictures I used to like sleep under. They came from the whatever that show was called, but it was Jim and Tammy Faye Baker, because she had a religious mania for a good while. Because when you're in her type of situation and you're married to my father, you will turn to anything that will give you hope. And so point being, the name Pat Robertson should come to my head immediately, you know. But I couldn't think of it, and I'm not sure what it pertained to, but I was just trying to bring it up in conversation with my brother, and I don't like that. It's like I can't think of things the way I used to think of things, and like I said, it's not old age related, it's probably benzo and pain related, because, pain muddies your mind. But I used to be quick, not quick anymore. A lot of times I don't think of the things I'm trying to talk about on this video until I'm rewatching the video. And by the way, speaking of which, talk about a day late and a dollar short. I was trying to think of this song that encapsulated what I was trying to say about life, how only a certain part of your life matters. It's Jack and Diane by John Cougar Mellencamp, and it says, life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone. I walk on. Do 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 do. I don't know if you remember that. A little ditty about Jack and Diane, two American kids doing the best they can. And it says, like I said, life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone. So, yeah, it's a good song lyric to describe how that certain part of your life that's really important. The rest of it is just playing out the string, you know. Even like with my friend who had a really good life, hard life as a cop, because it's a hard life, but he had a really good life, has a lot of family and stuff. He's just playing out the string now and enjoying the part of his life that mattered. He's 67 years old now. He's retired. He doesn't work anymore. He's enjoying his grandkids. He's enjoying his free time fishing. He still manages and rents out apartments, and he still does maintenance work on apartments. So he's a very busy guy. Because it's either grandkids. He was dog sitting a dog named Watson the other day, and he kept calling the dog Watkins, which irritated the dog's owner. And it's like, listen, you're getting free dog sitting privileges. But he came home and he's talking to him on the phone, telling him I can't go fishing on Saturday. And he's like, I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm dog sitting Watkins. And he's like, oh, I mean Watson. She got mad at me when I called her dog the wrong name. And I'm like, I can't find him anywhere. And I'm like, well, if you want to find Watson, you got to talk to Sherlock Holmes. Standard joke. But he was like, that dog's afraid of me. I think it's afraid of me because it took a shit in here somewhere. Because I don't understand why it's afraid of me. And I'm like, how do you end up getting stuck dog sitting? And he's always, that's why he would probably wear a camera for me, is he's like always wanting to do nice things for people. He's a really nice guy, and plus he's, got that Christian ethic. He's like a devout Christian type of dude. So he was like stuck dog sitting. And I'm like, well, who's going to dog sit while you're fishing? And he's like, well, I'm hoping that, if he didn't already take a crap in my house, I'm hoping to get him to do that before I leave. We're only going to be gone for a couple hours, and then my wife's going to come home. I'm like, what's your wife doing? My wife is babysitting. I'm like, so you're babysitting a dog, and your wife is babysitting your grandkids. I'm like, you people don't get to enjoy retirement very much, do you? But he likes being busy and stuff. But he's just a very busy guy. So he had free time today. He told me, like last Thursday, that I could go fishing Thursday, Saturday, or Monday. He would have some time to spare to take me to that specific place because I can't walk to go fishing. And so today, not today, Monday. What the hell? Again, bad brain. The whole point of like how this started, this segment of the video started. My brain is not good. And anyways, So like Monday, he didn't call me or didn't say anything about going because his plans probably shifted, or who knows? I don't know. I take what I can get, charity case. So yeah, but yeah, that's how my brain will work. It's like, yeah, I know this song, I know this lyric. I've thought about this before. I've heard the song a million times. It was all over the radio when I was in high school. Uh, but yeah, I can't remember it. And then I thought about it. It took me days to remember it. But usually I can remember stuff like within the hour, which is not good because I used to remember things like they were like right there. So as I think I used that metaphor before, it's like a lot of the information I have stored in my head is up on a top shelf, and I used to be able to just reach in there and grab it and pull it, but now I have to go across the room and get like a little step ladder, climb up onto the step ladder, and then root around in there. And then sometimes, even then, my arms are too short to reach the can of peaches I was looking for. But it is what it is. I don't think it's old age because I'm 53. I don't know if I ate too much aluminum or paint chips when I was a kid. I don't know what the deal is. I think it's benzo related myself. And being in a lot of pain, you know, it's like I didn't used to be in this much pain. And it's distracting. So, anyways, what did I say about half an hour ago? I have to get off of here, and I got like an hour before uh, my aid worker shows up to decide what to do. As far as like, do I want to mess with that air conditioner? She has to get her teeth pulled on Thursday, which she's really nervous about. So I don't know what she's going to be like today because she's never had a tooth pulled in her life. She has to get two of them pulled. She thought at first that was only going to be one. Now it's got to be two. So she's 68 years old, never had a tooth pulled. And so she's nervous about that. And their agency is so stupid that they wanted her to work the same day as having her teeth pulled, and they're like, they won't even let me drive home. I'm going to be put under because she's like, you're not doing that while I'm awake. So she's going to get the gas. They're going to put her under. They wanted her to work the same day. They're like, well, what day, can you make it to work? If your appointment's at 9, do you think you can make it to work in the afternoon? They're like, she's like, what? They wanted her to work the next day. I'm like, I didn't want to prognosticate bad things for her, but I'm like, you're probably going to want the next day off too because, you're going to be sore. She was like, great, that's what I need to hear. And I'm like, you never know how that goes with teeth. You don't know. You might be sore the next day. I have a video on here where I'm in such pain. It's like I'm zonkered out of my mind on 15 different hallucinogenics. I'm talking so slow and so foggy brain that I'm completely sober, but I'm just drunk on pain. So I was like, I can't believe they yanked out this tooth, man. And it's like one of the ones where the roots go all the way into the jaw. And I'm like, I can't believe they pulled out this tooth. And you know what the guy told me? He said that I was supposed to take some Tylenol. No, he told me ibuprofen when I was supposed to just take some ibuprofen. They didn't even give me any pain medication. I'm like, I didn't was going to take ibuprofen before I went in there, but I read on the internet that ibuprofen is a blood thinner, and you're not supposed to take a blood thinner before you go to the dentist. And then the dentist tells me to take a blood thinner when I go home. I'm supposed to be working on getting a clot built up from where he pulled my tooth. That was the dentist visit where I think they had to have a relief guy because the female dentist wasn't strong enough to pull my tooth, and they had a male dentist come in there. And I don't want that to sound sexist or anything in this age, but he put his hand on my forehead and drove my forehead back into the chair to get leverage to pull that tooth. And then it was like, yeah, you'll be fine. Walk it off, son. I came home and I made a video and I was like, sheesh. I'll post a link to it, I suppose. Hopefully, Cindy feels better. And yeah, and that's going to probably take a while to recover from because since you have bronchitis, and it's they used to give me this stuff I said in the comment called Theodore. I remembered it because it sounded like Theodore. I looked it up to make sure I had it right before I wrote it out. So I'm that meticulous. And I was like, man, why can't they just give me this over the phone? I have to go into these appointments. And then I realized that my doctor was just padding the bill. And I talked to my buddy, the cop, and he's like, yeah, just call my doctor and tell him what's wrong, and he'll just write prescriptions for me over the phone without an office visit. Oh, okay. My doctor wants me to go in there, and when I can't half breathe, and I remember like he ordered sinus X-rays. He just got X-ray equipment installed in his office, and I've had bronchitis for like the fourth or fifth time, and both knew exactly what it was. And he was like, just in case you have a sinus infection, we better order you some sinus X-rays. And I'm like, oh God. And I went along with the program because that's what you got to do. It's like they want you to do stupid shit. You got to do stupid shit for doctors. You got to jump through the hoops, or you don't get the treatment. It's like, just give me my fucking pills. They work every damn time. Same thing with the heart shocking thing. You don't have to, like, keep me in the hospital for 5 days and, yeah, jam xenomorph tubes down my throat. Just do what worked before. It's like, it's worked every time before. You don't have to do all this shit. It was the same thing with bronchitis when I had it. But yeah, it takes a while to get over that, and it's really unpleasant. It feels like you're drowning. And, you cough up a lot of stuff, and that's what that. You want to cough up the stuff, though, because if you don't, it's not good. It ends up, that's what you want to expectorate. So hopefully Cindy's expectorating like a mug, and she gets better. I'll talk to y'all later. And yeah, hopefully everybody feels better, including me, especially me. Let me be selfish. I especially want me to feel better. Goodbye.